have just come in from outside, and we saw on the other side of the street these big market areas and the later road from the 2nd century, and then we saw the excavated market floor outside this wall and some of the shop structures and other areas we're going to excavate this winter. And then this is a continuation of this marketplace over to where the boats docked. So the water of the lake came to this point. And this was the marketplace that was built very strongly to sustain heavy traffic. Otherwise you wouldn't build a floor of this strength. In the rest of the site we don't have a space like this in all of the site. So this is very intentionally and rationally built. Now we think, what was this used for? Well, we know from Flavius Josephus that 240 boats took away the women and children in 68 before the Romans came to protect them from the Roman destruction. So this means there was a very big port here. And this is the 1st century port. In the neighboring site of the Franciscans we have the Byzantine area port, so it stayed here but it moved a little bit. So then here you have all this traffic, and who's walking here? Well, I want to connect this now with another part of what we've seen. We've seen also the excavation of the pools for the tossing of the fish, for the salting of the fish, which would be, according to Flavius Josephus, sold from Magdala in the markets in Rome. Probably taken to Caesarea Maritima, a couple of days walk with a mule, loaded on the ships, taken to Rome and sold as a delicacy, as an expensive item in Rome. Fresh or salted fish from the Sea of Galilee here. So now, who is on this marketplace? Well, we know the names of some of the fishermen of the 1st century. Peter, his brother, Andrew, John, James, Philip from Bethsaida, all of them probably. And then the other fishermen. If you're a smart fisherman, you want to get the extra penny on the pound selling export. So these people were on this port. This is the town of Mary Magdalene, so she would have come down here. What an interesting thought, on this floor, walking here. So as you look around, you can see that we have structured this space with 2 rows of stone seating. What does that remind you of that we have seen earlier? Think of the synagogue, the columns, and then we sent some of the fresco plaster pieces with the fresco on them to a lab in Germany, and they identified the pigments and reproduced the substance to decorate the colors here. So we again have the atmosphere of the 1st century synagogue on this space. And originally we had planned a chapel where different Christian communities could have their communion service, their Eucharist, and that's where we found the synagogue. So it was like God saying, no, you can't do it there. So now we needed another place. And this place seemed ideal because if we think about Jesus, where did he hang out? Well, 80% of his life is on the shore of the Sea of Galilee, on this northwest corner from Magdala to Bethsaida, Chorazin. And then we think that he was always with the fishermen. He was in their boats, he preached from the boat, he was with them in the night over the lake, crossing the Sea of Galilee in their boat. So he hung out with the fishermen. Where did he get on their boat? From the port. Did Jesus walk here? It's kind of hard to argue against it. And then Peter, James, and John, the first disciples, with other Jewish people. So again, we have this place of commonality, that we shared life here together. A life that was not separated into different, isolated, not talking to each other Christian communities. A life that wasn't a separation between Jewish and Christian communities. So we need to think a little bit more about what we share in common, how we can understand and appreciate each other more, how we can work a bit better together, how we can bring down the inflammation of the joints. Please come, visit, pray here, and let's do something together to bring and allow more blessing to be poured on our world. Thank you for being with us in Magdala.